Welcome to another live stream of Landon Huber Studios. The one place where we will explore creativity and dimensions and sound and music and pictures and drawings. Or I should just say, welcome to another live stream. What we're going to be doing in this live stream is inking this guy here, whose name is Brad the Lotion Salesman. And Brad the Lotion Salesman is a character from my independent, creator-owned comic, The Punctuation Men. The Punctuation Men is a really cool superhero comic. It's actually like a superhero satire book, and it's got these awesome characters that are based on punctuation marks. This is the period. This is his sidekick, the apostrophe. This is the evil Renan Sentence. This is Brad the Lotion Salesman, and this is a little guy called a hench thing. And hench things are basically, there's like dozens and dozens of them, and they work for this guy, Renan Sentence. And in the book, without giving too much away, they go into a senior care center, and Renan Sentence has them go around and steal teeth from the old people. Well, anyway, it's a really cool book. It's on eBay right now, so check it out. But you can see more if you check out some of the previous live streams. This is the 10th live stream I've done. And it's also going to be the last one I do for a little while here. Because it's not that I don't enjoy doing them. It's just a matter of me deciding where to spend my time. And I'm not so sure that anymore that like creating 10,000 live stream live art stream videos is the best way to spend my time, because something else has come up recently that I feel I need to really invest my time into. And I can say one clue is that it involves the Punctuation Men. That's about the only clue I'm going to give. Because, hopefully you'll see later what I'm talking about, rather than me talking too much about it right here. But what I do want to talk about is live streams. It's like it's really a talker's medium. I think it's really a medium for podcasts and interviews and things of that nature. But a lone guy drawing a picture or inking a picture, it's not gonna. YouTube is, I hate to say, it's a platform you can you can definitely post your stuff so that it's there and available for people to see it. But I don't think it's really a platform anymore that because it can chew up your time, like, you know, and if like podcasting is something you really want to do and stuff like that, or even like live art streams and stuff, then more power to you. And it's not that I don't want to do them, don't get me wrong. It's just that I don't think it's my calling necessarily to create like endless, you know, YouTube content videos. That's not what my calling is. And I've already done quite a bit, to be honest. I've already, for me it's quite a bit. I've done like this, like I said, this is the 10th live stream. Um and beyond that, I have 26 episodes called Drawing on Fridays, the Landon Huber Experience, where you can see me drawing Halloween, uh, monsters and things like that. I have, I have over 150 videos on this YouTube channel, guys. So check them out. I got music, I got art videos, I got all sorts of good stuff. So check out the playlist and check out the other videos here. But as far as like art content videos, I made like 9 full length like art process videos that are fully edited like movies. It's not like a live stream where you just go live and draw and talk and that's the content. It's like these things are like fully edited. They take time to put together. And um I feel that between that, the live streams, the Drawing on Friday shows, that I already have quite a bit of drawing content on YouTube, and there'll be more. There'll be more for sure, but it's in a nutshell what I'm getting at is like I'm not going to be doing the weekly live streams anymore after this episode. This was the last major character in this comic book. And so if you check all the live streams, I've drawn all these characters live. And this was the final character. Um and so what I'm saying is that what I'm going to be doing is putting my energy towards things that are more pressing and more what's calling my name right now. And I'll come back and do YouTube videos when, you know, it'll just be like at some point in time. But yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be the last weekly live stream. I've done 10 consecutive weeks. So, I haven't seen like a major growth yet on this channel, even from all the stuff that I've been doing. But, I understand like that's YouTube. There's like millions of people on YouTube, but, you know, I don't always have new things to talk about every week, just to be honest. My life is, like probably like a lot of people's lives, it's somewhat normal, Um, and I've already talked about a lot of the things like that I feel. So sometimes you got to like live life for a while. It's kind of like with people that sometimes there's an old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And the basic gist of that is just that when you're around somebody every single day, you get used to them, and then you might actually kind of get annoyed from time to time. You're like, why is this person around me? even if it, some days it's somebody you love, but it's just the fact that they're there every single day. Um, which, if it's a loved one, like your spouse or a family member or a close friend, you do need to appreciate, take time out of your busy schedule and appreciate the things that you have and don't take them for granted. And have you done that recently? Have you taken time out today to appreciate somebody in your life? It's a good idea to do that as much as you can. But back to my point is just absence makes the heart grow fonder. So when you're with somebody every day, it, you kind of run out of stories to talk about, like, because you've been with them every day, so there's no new information that they don't know already. It's kind of like that with the live streams. um you know I don't have I don't want to, like, generate a bunch of I have no interest in generating a bunch of, crazy, like, conspiracies, or crazy, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Controversies. That's more the word I was going for. Conspiracies exist, but this isn't that kind of channel. They're talking about a bunch of conspiracies or controversies. And people like that sort of stuff, but that's just not the kind of channel I'm going to do. I'm a creative person, and so that's what I spend my time doing. And so yeah, I mean, I'm on YouTube. My stuff's there. If you watch the art process videos and the drawing on Fridays videos, there's already plenty of drawing content that I've made. And so, in a nutshell, this is going to be the last weekly live stream that I do for a while. And then I'm going to be focused on other projects and trying to get those done. One project is something I've been needing to get done for a long time. Another project is kind of a new thing that's going to require a lot of my focus and attention. So, and I don't know, maybe sporadically I'll come back, do the oddball live stream, and even if you don't catch it live, you can catch it on the replay. I guess, in the similar fashion, I kind of feel like how David Lynch felt. He talked about, like, filmmaking, and how with filmmaking that you work so hard to create something, and then as soon as it's done, people want you to put it back into words, you know? But that the thing about cinema is that it's sound and picture moving together in time, you know? And so he was just saying how he thought it was an absurdity that people wanted you to, you know, stick it back into words. And I get that for sure, because, you know, well, I get that. But you know, I guess I feel I've already sort of said my point. I don't want this whole episode to be me talking about why I don't want to do YouTube. It's not like that. Um, you know, I like YouTube. I watch it just like everybody. There's definitely some good things about it, but yeah. Anyway, I think it's going to be something more that I, instead of like a weekly kind of thing for me, it'll be the, you know, I make something cool and then put it out, you know. That's what I'm hoping I can do here. But you know, when you make something really cool, though, you got to monetize it, and getting monetized on YouTube is it's tough. It's really about quantity. I suppose it's about quality too, to some extent, but yeah, it does seem to be about quantity also. And you know, if it's a really big project that you're working on, it's not about the quantity. It's about the quality. It's about the I don't know what word to use that says quality, but it's about the actual like extra effort that it does take to create that, you know. I appreciate any for the people that have been watching my videos. I really do appreciate it. If you can drop a like and subscribe and watch my other videos and leave a comment. Doesn't have to be a big, you know, huge comment that takes you a year to write. It could just be cool video, dude. You know, just something to make the algorithm smile on my channel once again. Make the algorithm smile on my channel. When I was a kid, my nickname was Lionel. I'm not making that up. I was in Boy Scouts, actually, when I was younger. And there was one Boy Scout leader who was this older guy, which I won't name. I'll tell you his first name was Milton. And he didn't really, there was a lot of other kids and Boy Scouts. And Milton didn't really remember names too well. So at one time he was trying to say my name and couldn't remember it. It's just Lionel. And then all the other kids, like in Scouts, just thought that was funny, so they all started calling me Lionel. So that became my nickname. And my cousin, who was, around the same age as me, to this day he still jokes with me and calls me Lionel. Lionel. Uh, Never lets me forget. Yeah, that's fine. Sometimes it's good to remember, the good old days. Because we can forget, we can forget our whole history and stuff, which is, I guess, if you've had an abusive childhood or bad memories you want to get rid of, I can understand that. But just the life and a lifetime, so many memories can start piling up. That's one of the reasons it kind of gets harder as you get older to remember things, because your filing cabinet is large. It's not just biology. I mean, that's part of it too, but you're just the length of time that you've been around is longer, so you have all these memories. That's what starts to happen as you get older. For all you young whippersnappers out there, I guess when you're young, you don't really think you're ever gonna get old. Or you don't worry about it, and you shouldn't. I mean, life is life. You should live your life. But you do need to make the most of the time that you're given, though. That's for sure. You don't have endless amounts of it. My hand is a little bit crampy today. Cramping up. I think, I don't know. That's another one of those things about getting old. Okay. I didn't grow up in a world with social media. Um, I was like, I don't know what you'd consider me, like an elder millennial, I guess. But I saw it change, you know? Like I was born into a world without smartphones, and then somewhere around 2010, they arrived, you know. They were suddenly here. Like I know it was like maybe a year before that, but as you know now with like AI, when a new technology comes to market, it very quickly just changes like human behavior, you know. It's like you blink your eyes and the world is different. The way I see AI now is if you can use it as a tool to help you accomplish something, but that the thing you're accomplishing is coming from your own creativity, your own your real ideas, you know, then I'm not against it. I'm not against the use of it, you know, and there's different uses of it. Um, but it can be used to be quote unquote creative in a lazy way where maybe you don't have any ideas, so you're just kind of prompting it to do everything for you, and that's where it's, you know, not being used in the way it should. You know, of course, people are going to do that, but you know, like with like you could make a movie now, you know, where there's enough tools available that for, you know, much smaller cost than Hollywood movies ever were. If you got ideas and learn how to use the tools and don't be lazy about it, because you're going to have to not be lazy about it. It's still an effort, you know. It's just you have to be, it's like the old saying, work smarter, not harder. Like put your effort where it counts to accomplish something in the way you want it accomplished. And sorry if my head's blocking the view now. I kind of need to see, but just don't just don't get lazy about the aspect that you're bringing to the table. You know, that's my thing. You know, like still be an artist. You know, even if you have a new tool, a new canvas or a new brush, still be an artist. You still have to make some art with it. You know, and you know, AI may be able to like you input all the Charles Dickens novels ever written, and then it'll spit you out something where it's decoded the kinds of stories that it thinks that he writes. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But it can't be Charles Dickens, you know? Charles Dickens is Charles Dickens, you know what I mean? Like he was one of the best writers of in history to me. I love his story. And I'm not even Uh, I'm not like you couldn't just like ask me like tell me all the Charles Dickens characters and stories and all that. It's like I'm not that well read, but from everything I've seen of his stories, you know, the movies based on his stories and what I know about his stories, I love his stories, you know. And they're sophisticated in a very unique way, you know, and so only he could have done it like that, though, you know what I mean? He has his own perspective. You know, AI couldn't have written a Christmas Carol. You could input the already written Christmas Carol and then say come up with something and then it'll spit out something, but it doesn't have the same like depth. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's my point there. Use it if you want, but still be an artist. That's my final sort of thought on the whole thing. Because at the end of the day, what are we here for? We're just trying to, you know, that's the question, the age-old question, you know, we ask ourselves all the time. For me, I just want to create cool stuff because when I was a kid, I was inspired by so much cool stuff that I just said I need in my life I need to do some cool stuff, you know. I have that in me. I'm not like I don't know, maybe I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. Maybe I don't have all the degrees in the world, but I just felt since I was a kid, I have that in me to that potential to really do something, you know? And so if you feel that way, don't don't let AI stop you. Only let it help you create your ideas, your vision, you know? That's my that's my that's my stance on it. But yeah, so I came from a world so, you know, I remember when I was like I don't know, somewhere around 10 years old, the movie Mighty Ducks came out and I liked that movie. Um but in the movie there was like a scene they had like car cell phones in cars back then, but they were like really big, you know, these big things. Or maybe they were more just like they looked like giant walkie-talkies connected to the car or something like that. Anyway, it was like in the, you know, early mid 90s or somewhere around that time. And I remember seeing that video and thinking or seeing the movie and seeing that cell phone and just thinking, "Wow, you know, that's so cool. They have a phone in the car." You know, it's like a I was like you had to be rich to have that, you know. I was like, I'll never be able to have phone and car. You have to be like really rich, like you know. And then look at us now. These little these little cell phones that can do anything. It's a blessing and a curse, I guess. I mean, I'm live streaming right now from a cell phone, so you wouldn't be able to even see this art piece coming to life right now if it wasn't for this cell phone. Okay. Well, I don't know. We're about halfway there, I guess. Trying to gather my thoughts. Yeah, check out the Punctuation Men, guys. Check out the other videos on my channel about it if you're curious. It's a cool comic. Last week, some salesman came by, set off the dog alarm. And sometimes my dog will just randomly start barking at something. He's the security guard around here. Although I'm not sure really what he would do if like a burglar actually came and tried to break in or something. Not really sure what he would do besides kind of bark. And he does have a aggressive side, but we've kind of trained him to be a little softy, you know, because we don't want him to be aggressive. But uh, I didn't want to train the aggression out of him 100%. So I want him to feel like he can protect himself. But I guess like dogs kind of like we've domesticated them, but they're originally they were like cave dwellers, you know. So they have like a aggressive by nature in their DNA. But then, you know, we've domesticated them and trained them to be, you know, non-aggressive. That's one theory I've heard. They are fun, man. Dogs are so much fun. It's like God put them here just so we could have a little buddy. Cats are cool too, but it's definitely a different species. That's for sure. The difference between dog and cat is if you come home, your dog is gonna be wagging his tail and happy to see you, jump up on you, lick your face, just going crazy that you're back, right? And the cat is gonna kind of look at you and roll his eyes and say, "Oh, you're back," you know. Great. You know, they don't care. It's like, yeah, just give me my food and leave me alone. Sometimes they want attention. I guess all cats are a little bit different, but all right. I'm gonna kind of start squinting and tweaking and getting this thing a little bit closer to finish here. A bit gray. On the ground, see, he's got all these lotion bottles. He's Brad the Lotion Salesman, so he concocts these like special lotion, and it's like these high powered, ultra, density lotion that he's like a chemist, So the lotion he sells creates the perfectly pH balanced skin, which is part of his like deal in life, is that he wants to make sure everybody has perfectly pH balanced skin, you know. And so that's what this lotion is here for, is to help do that. And he but he also uses them to fight, when the punctuation men need his help, he's there to step in and help them out with that lotion. And it gets all over the place. So he uses them to, like, these bottles like explode out, and he uses them to fight with, so here's a cool little shot from the comic book I'll show you. But there's a cool shot where you see that. So you can see that all the lotion's getting shot out and shooting all these little hench things. So that's pretty cool. He's really an important character to what makes Punctuation Men work, Without him, there would be just something missing. He kind of completes the Punctuation Men in a way. I'm trying to make this sort of steam look flowy, When I do certain kinds of flowy, like brush things like that, you see how I'm holding my brush? I have to kind of change the way I hold the brush to get that flow. Sometimes I don't do it exactly how I want because I'm old, blind, and I can't make my hand obey my brain all the time. But we try. We try. There's an idea that finish is better than perfect. And I do agree with that. Um, it's true, you know. At some point you have to let go of the little stuff. Otherwise you'll never get it done ever, But that doesn't mean sort of be lazy about what you're doing and don't try to do a good job. It just means don't get, there's one like thing I noticed with like in the realm of music that music producers get too uh, like up, like they're sitting there focusing on the snare sound as like that's the most important thing. And okay, you want all the instruments to sound how you want them to sound, but I really feel in my deep soul that the most important thing is the song, and just make it sound as good as you can. But you know, don't get so like fixated on the snare, because the snare drum is also, or whatever the element is, it's ultimately just one of the elements in a song, right? Or in a full, depending on this, if it's like a full production, if it's like a full uh, multiple instrument kind of a deal. Basically, the snare drum is just one instrument, so it doesn't matter what it sounds like by itself. It matters what the whole sound of everything together is. And if that means that the snare drum is, if the sound you're imagining means the snare drum is sort of barely there, then that's the way it should sound. You know, it should sound how you imagine it should sound, not, oh, this instrument sounds so clear, and you know what I mean? Like that's just the wrong thing to be concerned about. So, like, I've heard some of the Beatles, like revised masters and stuff, and I don't think they're as good, for the majority. Maybe there's some that are interesting, but for a lot of them, I don't feel they're as good as the originals were, because you know, it's like I heard, I think it was Jeff Emmerich. I heard he was talking about how when they went back and they would clean things up, they would make the tambourine sound like a tambourine, or they would make this instrument sound more like that instrument and bring it out in the mix. But that when they did the original mix, they purposefully left it buried in the mix, or purposefully mixed it down, so that, because it wasn't supposed to sound like that. And that's more what I'm talking about. Like, it is definitely true, because I've had this problem before in my earlier mixes back when I was making tracks, that you don't want everything to be front and center. You know, I had a similar problem with my art. It's when everybody's front and center, then nobody's front and center. It's like the same. Like if you ever saw The Incredibles, if everybody's good, or what did he say? If everybody was bad, then nobody would be, or something like that. It's kind of the same principle. If everything is front and center, then nothing is front and center. And what makes when something really hits you and you're like, dang, that sounds so awesome, man, those guitars are just great, or whatever. Well, you may notice that the in that same track where you think the guitars are great, maybe the bass is buried. Or maybe the drums are a little bit sitting back, and the vocals too, so that the guitars can be the leader of the mix. Um, Everything should sort of sit in its own pocket, but sonically and whatnot. Um, you don't want to have unless you're doing it in an artful way, you don't want to have too much like things building up in a single sonic range. That's true. Um, because the frequencies will start canceling each other out, basically. And I hear that in stuff like, I'll still listen to the radio on occasion, and you hear that a lot actually. Like, man, it just in rock mixes in particular, I'm thinking like, just sounds like everything's sitting in this same sort of like mid-range and really loud crash cymbals going, you know. But that's what you call a single. And I know this stuff because I've done it wrong, and I know about it. So that's like single frequency, everything living in the same frequency range, becomes harsh on the ears, and it becomes sonic uh, cancelization happening with the frequencies, you know. Now what I meant was like sometimes you can do that artfully. For instance, like if there's like a little, that's what like phasers are for. They kind of go zoom. They phase. They literally cancel out sound using phase. So sometimes a little bit of phase sounds cool, right? It gives it a little wobble and life. It doesn't have to be, everything doesn't have to be completely in phase all the time. And like I remember hearing, like I said, Freddie Mercury, the famous whatever rock star, pop star. You know who he is. He's the lead singer of Queen. You don't need me to say who he is, but anyway, they said when he was doing, see, this is going to be, sorry to bounce around with what I'm talking about. This is going to be a hard thing for me to get these little squiggles here, but I need to try and kind of get my posture. Oh man, I can't do it. So fine, and just have to do it this way. But that he when he would sing so um exact. Every take that he did would be so exact that it would literally be in phase. They would phase each other out. And you can hear that like in now here's an interesting thing. When Ozzy did double vocals, he actually, I don't even know if he consciously was aware what he's doing. Maybe, of course he probably was, but what he would do is do one vocal take once it was comped down, and then that one would be in key, but then he'd do the other vocal take, and the other vocal take would slightly be out of key, like dropped a few semitone pitches. And that is what created that Aussie sound, you know because when stuff is exactly in the same, like for instance, if you have you're recording a guitar, you have to record the guitar two times so that you get different waveforms, because when the waveforms line up exactly, they start creating phase issues, and it doesn't sound as good in the mix, because it's too identical. So it literally just, you know, cancels, like you don't get that wide sound effect because the waveforms are too close. So welcome to, sound recording 101. My live drawing stream here. But anyway, yeah, I'm a musician too. Check out my music. Pretty good. I've written all those songs. So it's all can be found online. It's all there. Um, I have to say, I've never felt to myself. I know promotion is important, but I'm not a great self promoter either. And that's another thing with the YouTube. It's like when I don't even want to listen to other people's channels if all they're doing is self promoting all the time. You know what I mean? Like people are kind of turned off by that, and yet we live in this capitalistic society, so we kind of have to do it, right, to some extent. So buy my comic and buy my music on iTunes, and uh, you know, thanks, and I hope you enjoy reading it. I hope you enjoy listening to it. Let me know what you think, because for whatever else you might think about me, a lot of effort went into everything I've done. So gotta give me that at least, even if you don't like me. Even if you don't like me, you at least gotta give me that. Sometimes I don't like myself. I think most people have felt that way from time to time. It's called getting depressed and coping with life. We've all been there, right? Sort of trying to get a little bit of a dry brush here effect, but I don't know if I'm failing or succeeding. Okay, let's take a 5-second break here, and thank you for joining me today, guys. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what else to talk about. If you're not in the mood to talk, it's tough to get to like do a live YouTube show. I don't know how that well, obviously they did it for their job back in the day, like the old people that worked on television, and they made good money. But being like a host, like for a big show, man, it's got to be draining. And I guess they're living in a different stratosphere too. But the difficult part would be the side of showbiz that it's like you gotta put on the show. It doesn't matter how you feel, you know. Doesn't matter if you feel like it or not. You gotta perform. The show must go on, you know. And it can drive people. You know, some people I guess can handle it. Some people just can't. Like I don't know. I think I'm a just can't. I couldn't handle that kind of a thing, you know. I don't think so. I'm more of a guy. It's like I'll go away for a while and I'll tinker on something, and when it's cool, I'll put it out, and that's it. Like I'm not sort of built for constant presence, you know. The word presence just made me think of Christmas, and it's kind of like a Christmas present. Like every time I do a show, it's a little Christmas present for the public. It kind of sounds egotistical to say that, right? But what I just mean is like if Christmas was every day, you wouldn't appreciate it anymore. It's the very fact that Christmas only happens once a year. That was way too thick. But it's the very fact that Christmas only happens once a year that makes it special, you know? That is what makes it special. So absence makes the heart grow fonder, and it also makes the special things more special. You know? Otherwise, people kind of get annoyed with you. I think if I was just constantly live streaming every single freaking day, I mean, is there anybody who's got the time to watch that, you know? I don't think so. Well, we're getting close here to being virtually done with the main inks here. I always might go back, you know, after the show and mess with it a little more, give my eyes a break, you know, tweaks. Hopefully not over tweaking and over rendering and overthinking, which I've done before. I've done it before. Yeah, there it is. Brad the Lotion Salesman, guys. Inked Live. That's fun. But with that, I'm going to wrap up the show here and noodle for a couple minutes and then wrap up the show. So drop a comment. Check out my other YouTube videos. Drop a like. Subscribe. All that good stuff. You will be surprised, at the range of things on this YouTube channel. Which that's another thing that kind of is an issue I have, because with the algorithm, the YouTube computer brain wants to identify what kind of channel is this, it wants to know. Well, when it's a multifaceted channel like mine is, ranging from art and music and film, then YouTube just doesn't know what the heck you are. And basically, I think that's one of the issues I have. It's that algorithm. YouTube doesn't know who I am, so they can't define me in a nice little box that they can, wrap up, sell to the public at a discount. But I'll tell you, I'm about done with this piece, guys. I've enjoyed doing these shows, I'm sorry to anybody who's been like watching and enjoying them on the weekly basis. I'm not gone for good, but the weekly shows will no longer be weekly. I will just be putting out content, if and when I have it. So take it easy, guys. Happy Saturday. Don't forget to remember to appreciate the people in your life, your loved ones. They are a blessing to you. And with that, you've been watching Landon Huber Studios. Take it easy. Love you guys. Bye for now.